Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Wherever you are for Caesar, it's good night, right? Isn't
Yep,
it? What time
it's
is it where
good
you are?
midnight, actually.
What time is it?
It's midnight.
Yeek. Well, thank you for spending some time with us today. We really appreciate it. Uh,
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us today on another live chat on my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Angela, and this is actually this way. Who are you?
My name is Caesar. I am a voice actor and also a sound engineer. I'm mostly known for being a sound engineer, but not a lot of folks know that I actually have books out there. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me as your guest, Angela.
Of course. Thank you for being here. We always love having you on here, Caesar. Uh,
Thank you.
if you're not new here, you know that every week we have a new poll here on my site. Did I introduce? Yes, I just. Okay, so we completely just. We both need coffee, apparently.
Absolutely,
Um,
yes.
but my YouTube channel is dedicated to those of you just getting started in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you tips, tricks, techniques, things that I do every day in my own voiceover business. And then we get together in these weekly chats. And Caesar is usually a very active viewer and commenter in my chats. This is Spicy Caesar, for those of you that don't know. He actually has a face. And he actually has a very, very nice voice. We love Caesar.
Thank you.
Um, but today we're going to be talking about audiobook auditions, namely your first audiobook audition. So for those of you that are not brand new, please share your experiences, what you've learned, what you have come to discover about yourself, maybe perhaps what you were doing, what you were not doing. For those of you that are new, then if you have any questions about maybe something that's holding you back from getting started in audiobooks and with auditioning, then please share that with us as well. We're just going to be chatting about some of the things that we see most often. As myself, I am a coach, and Caesar is like he said, a sound engineer. So I'm more on the all around audiobook side, and Caesar's more of on the technical side, in addition to being an audiobook narrator himself. So we both have a little bit experience in that respect, and we'll try to help you guys move past your roadblocks if you have any. But if you have not yet hit the poll, there is a poll today, of course, as always. And today's poll is: what feels hardest about your audiobook auditions? So far, we have 26 votes. 12% of you said audio quality and or tech. Understandable. 27% of you said performance confidence. 15% of you said knowing what to prep. And 46% of you said overthinking everything. Super relatable. Super
Absolutely.
relatable. I mean, personally for me, I didn't overthink it as much as I went like gung ho into my first audiobook audition. And mind you, and I've mentioned this before, but I started in my living room recording with a Blue Yeti mic on a glass dining room table. So my audio quality was not the best. I wasn't even thinking about that because we don't know what we don't know yet, right, in the beginning. So I can't tell you. And I didn't take it personally. I was just like, I'll get one. I'll get one sooner or later. I'll get one. I just kept going for it. And then when I listened back and I started to watch people on YouTube, and they're saying, okay, well, you need to use this effect and this setting. And I was like, what is an effect? What is that? Do I need that? Oh my God. Is there something I'm doing wrong? And then I went down the whole rabbit hole of over processing, using every effect I saw people using on YouTube. I was doing way too much. And then again, I still wasn't booking any jobs. So it took me like a good solid couple months before I got my first job. And I think looking back, it was either A, my audio quality was complete garbage, or B, my audio quality was complete garbage because either A, it sounded like a big boxy room, or it was completely over edited and over processed. So I think that was That's the story of my beginnings. What was it like for you, Caesar? How did your first auditions go?
Well, funny thing is, I started my voiceover journey around 2023, but I didn't start auditioning until 2024. And the reason why is because, funnily enough, and this will shock a lot of people, I hated the sound of my voice. And I don't know why I hated it so much. I hated it. And at the time, it was 2023, my wife at the time was actually one of the biggest cheerleaders into getting into my voiceover journey, but she said, "You have a lovely voice. It's one of the things that I really liked about you." And so I set up my studio. I think I poured less than $200 uh, budget into having a bedroom with like lace curtains, a tiny laptop, a USB microphone, and one of those stupid
I had one too.
reflection filters. It's like, oh, this will
Like
do the job. It's
the
fine.
ISO shield thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had
because
one too.
I heard about treatment, but I was like, yeah, whatever. So I did. I set that up. And the problem was that I didn't have mic technique at the time. I always thought the default was because, you see rock performers on stage, they got the microphone real close, right? So I thought, yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I get a nice, big, meaty voice. So I stuck my face into the condenser and it's like, oh, God. And I didn't listen to the playback because, like I said, I hated my voice. So I just
Mhm.
gave it to my wife at the time, and she listened, and she had a weird look on her face. It's kind of like, and I was wondering why, because you said you said you like my voice, and then she's like, you don't sound like you. And that's when I realized that whenever I'm in front of a microphone, I become someone else because I didn't like my voice. So I I lowered my register. I became some kind of narrator, like once upon a time in a dark land. And she was like, "This isn't you."
Mhm.
Ah,
Mhm.
and I refused to believe that, obviously. So I thought maybe it's here. And I went down a whole rabbit hole of, hey, best condensers for whatever. I got into the XLR system very early on, and I completely abandoned the USB. And I got myself my first big boy microphone. It's a Lewitt LCT 440 Pure. And once again, I did that thing. I wanted that big meaty voice. So I put it in front of me. It's like, oh yeah, I like this is how a man's supposed to sound. You know what I'm saying? And I gave it to my wife, and then she was like, I can hear your S's. And that's because, I was like really close to the capsule. So eventually I learned how to do the thing where, okay, I'm going to back up. Fine, whatever.
Did you sound like an
Then,
airline pilot?
exactly. Oh, God. And I had imposter syndrome so bad that when I did eventually back away from the microphone, I lost my chest. I was going, where did the meat go,
Yeah.
And that's when I started learning how to be a sound engineer. And the first thing I did was I scooped my voice. I did a 6 decibel boost in the low end, and I did a 6 decibel boost in the high end. So I'm shiny, I'm big, I'm larger than life. Then I processed the dynamics, and I was like, it didn't pass ACX standard. It was way too loud. And gradually, I think as soon as I started learning restraint, and then I joined your classes, obviously, Angela, and you kept telling me, stop being spicy, be yourself. And then when I started learning about something called listening fatigue, that apparently an audiobook is several hours long, and the point is not to try to give yourself the voice of God or try to be big, powerful, and meaty all the time, because people are just going to go after a while saying, I don't want to listen to this anymore. What the hell?
Mhm.
That whole procrastinating 1 year process. Eventually, I learned restraint. I learned how to process not too much, just enough to control the peaks and all that. And then I think by 2024, I was ready to do my first audition, and disaster struck. I live in a place with very high humidity, or very high relative humidity. And there would be nights when it would be like 99%. I
Yeesh.
almost lost every single microphone in my studio.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
It was just one lesson after another. And then, oh my God, the rescue process was harrowing. Eventually, I got myself a dehumidifier. And I thought because every single mic I owned was irrecoverable. Well, I bought a dry box anyway. I stuck them in there, but I took them out, and then it took months actually for them to recover because of how wet they were.
Mm.
I went into retail therapy. I bought myself the biggest, baddest microphone I could get at the time, which is a Lewitt Pure Tube. Because I watched Booth Junkie, and he was just like singing praises. It's a beautiful microphone, $1,300. It arrived before I could control the humidity in my studio, but I still had a halfway functioning Lewitt 441 Flex. The front capsule was dead, but the back was okay. I was so downtrodden before I made my first audition that I simply didn't care. I just put up the script. I read it based on, I think, how I had taught myself to read over that whole year of procrastinating. I had my processing, but I was just like doing just muscle memory stuff. I wasn't thinking, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent it out, not caring. I even used my natural accent, which is kind of European British. And within 24 hours, I got an email by a very excited author saying that I landed the job. That was my first audition experience. And I learned that you shouldn't overthink. You shouldn't worry too much. Sometimes, I don't know what it was exactly. I think it was spite that drove me to perform and submit that audition, because I felt like the entire world was just kind of against me. I was like, you know what? I can do this. And that's also when I learned how to be confident about myself and my ability. And I think ever since then, the, the the imposter monster will always come and bite you in the ass, but it happens a lot less often. And sometimes, uh, where am I going with this? Sometimes not caring is really just the proper approach.
Not
Ironically,
overthinking it and
not
not
over.
trying to be someone that you're not.
Yes, yes,
Because I think the spite drove you to just get it done and just to be
yeah,
you and not to overthink it because you were doing it for other purposes, not because you were trying and then trying too much in the trying,
yeah.
right? And I think to your point, we all did that at some point because I mean, growing up, we watched all the cartoons on TV, we saw all the shows, we heard all the commercials, and back
Hmm.
then, because the more of a conversational, everyday person tone didn't really get popular until right about when I started in 2018. So before that, when we were younger, it was the radio voice. I am the announcer. I am the narrator. It was overdone. And that's kind of what we associated with the term voice actor. So that's what we
Hmm.
were shooting for. When in reality, we were just overdoing it way too much, overthinking it way too much,
That's
uh,
right.
trying to be something other than just who we are. I mean, best story ever. Thank you for sharing that,
Thank
Caesar.
I learned some hard it was a lot of, like, life had to happen before, I learned my lesson, you know? Um,
Hard lesson.
and a very hard lesson, exactly, yeah. And I think I've come to a point now where I'm actually, the Dunning-Kruger curve? Where
Mhm.
you're kind of like, well, you're an expert, but when you're an expert, your confidence is somewhere at a midpoint where you're confident about the things that you know you can do, but you're comfortable with saying that there are certain things you don't know yet or can't do yet, and you're not overconfident, but at the same time, uh, I don't know, you're willing to learn, you know?
And that is key. And that is key going, especially if you're building a business or thinking about becoming a business owner, is to come to the realization that it's okay to not know everything. You just
Mhm.
don't know it yet. And you may not even know what you need to know yet, but
Yeah.
that will come in the doing. So, I mean, for those of you that are just, watching all of my YouTube videos or Anthony's YouTube videos or anybody else's YouTube videos stuck in that procrastinating stage, I encourage you to step out. Just take one baby step out and try it because
Mhm.
you cannot get far. You cannot build something stuck in your comfort zone in
Yeah.
procrastinating. Telling yourself, the definition of procrastinating is that you're telling yourself that you can't move forward because you need to learn this. You need to learn something technical. You need to learn something performative, something specific about whatever it is that you're trying to do, or you're holding yourself back because you don't have that microphone or you don't have that cable, you don't have that chair, whatever it is that you're telling yourself that you need to have before you get started. Absolute baloney. We just told you our stories and how we started with basically the bare minimum, maybe even below the bare minimum. But we started. We started and we learned what we needed to learn as we went. But I encourage you, get out there and get started. The imposter syndrome, the imposter monster, as Caesar noted, it comes for all of us. It comes knocking on all of our studio doors almost daily. But what's important is that you recognize that's what it is. That it's
Mhm.
not really you. It's the fear, right? Imposter syndrome is basically just
Absolutely,
fear
yes.
in some way, shape, or form. And it's telling you that you're going to, what if I fail? What if I succeed? What do I do then? What if the author doesn't like me? What if the listeners don't like me? The what ifs that may not ever come, right? So you have to recognize when you're doing that and just say, get out of here. I know what I'm doing. I don't know everything yet, but I will
Mhm.
learn it as I go
Yeah.
and everything will be fine. So that's important. As I always tell everybody in Launchpad, finish a sentence. If you don't know what you're doing, always add the word yet at the end. I don't have this thing yet.
Yes.
I haven't booked a job yet, right? Make sure that you're adding yet. Don't allow the negativity to seep in. No stinking thinking,
Mhm.
as we say, right? All right,
Actually,
enough of that tangent. Okay, I wanted to ask you, Caesar, because um, you are becoming a very or maybe the only major contact point in Launchpad in our circles for being the audio engineer extraordinaire because you have a fantastic ear for things. When people come to you, what do you see as the most common beginner mistake technically? Like, what is the most common thing you see that people could probably address or fix without having to reach out to an audio engineer, perhaps? What you understand what I'm saying? Does that
yeah.
make sense? Okay. What do you think that is?
Although I'd say some of the solutions actually do require a bit of engineering. They don't necessarily require a dedicated sound engineer, just a little bit of understanding about frequencies. And one of them, I think, is that they tend to overreact about their noise floor.
Mm,
They see that their noise floor is above minus 60,
yeah.
but so they throw in like huge, what do you call that? Huge noise suppressors or denoisers, and they crank it up until, you know, they crank it all the way up until their voice is unrecognizable sometimes, or they get something like Clarity VX, or they buy something that's like 60, $80 to take out the noise. Audition has something called a high pass filter, and it's absolutely free. You just have to understand where that noise is coming from and separate your voice from the noise. All right,
Hmm.
it, easy fix. Put the high pass at 75 hertz at around 18 dB per octave, and that's it. You don't have to buy a denoiser. You don't even have to buy NS1 sometimes.
I mean,
Just
even going even more basic than that, I think for me as a coach and all of the people that I've worked with, usually the first one or two sessions that I have with people when they become mentors of mine with my mentorship package on my website,
mhm,
usually the first couple of sessions is getting their sound corrected or their
that's right.
effects rack corrected. Or
Mhm.
their mic placement corrected. A lot of times the mics are turned the other way
That's
because
also very true. Yeah.
because not at any fault of the voice actor, but
Mhm.
because microphones don't come with instructions anymore. They come with like a QR code that you got to scan and
Yeah.
download the manual and read. I mean, who has time? Who does that? Nobody does that.
And
So
sometimes the manual is like super dense with technical information that a
exactly.
voice actor doesn't need to know. We don't need to know the SPL. We're not making up a drum.
No.
Yeah.
No, so just a quick note for most of you, if you have a microphone, most of the time, and a lot of
Mhm.
microphones do have this, and it's going to, of course, depend on which microphone you have, but take a
Yeah.
look at your microphone and look for either a gold or a silver dot. That
Mhm.
will indicate where the front is.
That's right.
That's the easiest way to figure that out. The other thing that I see quite a bit is uh, touching on your noise floor
Mhm.
comment is that it's their own computer making the noise, or they have their air conditioner running, or their
That's
heater
right.
running, or a fan running. There's something in your room. And again, no fault of the voice actor. We don't realize these things. Again, I started on a glass dining room table not knowing anything about anything. So don't fault yourself for that, but turn all that stuff off. If you
That's right.
can move your noise,
Mhm.
usually from your computer, that's usually the biggest source of noise. Move it as far away from your mic as possible or turn
Yes.
off the air conditioner. Yes, I know
Mm.
it's hot. I live in Arizona. I feel you.
I live in
But
the Philippines. So,
you got it's just part of the job. You got to turn it
yeah.
off, turn everything off that produces some kind of noise,
Mhm.
record, and then turn everything back on when you're editing.
When you're done. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of times they don't realize that it's a cardioid pattern, right? So the back is less sensitive. So put the noisy stuff in the back, you know?
Mhm.
In relation to the whole noise floor thing, a lot of people think that they can get to below minus 60 by recording softer. They don't want
Yes.
to bring the gain up on their interface because they've been told, and this is no longer true. It might have been true 20 years ago that audio interfaces don't have clean gain. So you got to keep it at like, I don't know, 12 o'clock or something, like 1 o'clock. But after the pandemic, the improvements put into audio interfaces now, they rival studio consoles in terms of quality and transparency. You can bring that up to 3 or 4 o'clock, even 5 o'clock if you need to, and it's not going to make your noise floor any worse. So, yeah, crank that gain if you need to. The important thing is that you hit your recording levels. You got to be between minus 18 to minus 12, because
Raw
that's
recording.
where, yeah, raw recording. Peaks at minus 3 with RMS at between minus 18 to minus 23 when mastered. Um, where was I going with this one? Yeah, that minus 18 to minus 12 is where plugins behave the most. They behave better.
Hmm.
They process better because they have proper thresholds to work with.
Um, so touching on that, if if the viewers watching today are
Hmm.
just getting started,
Yeah.
what do you think is the biggest red flag for them from a client's perspective that they are brand new technically? Let's just stick with audiobooks for now. So um, I think, and this has come up a lot actually in a lot of the chats that I've seen, is adding music to audiobook auditions. And I think from my perspective and based on everything that I've seen and heard over the last 8 years, is that when a brand new person adds music to anything, audition, demo wise, it can indicate, and clients with a tuned ear can still hear it, that you're trying to cover up bad audio.
Yeah.
So that's a thing. Do you see that?
That read two things. One is music. Absolutely. I completely agree with you. I had an alarmed look in my face because a lot of folks don't know how to add music to VO. Okay. There's a whole thing called automation. You need to duck the music when you're speaking, so on and so forth. And when you just slap on music and then just like lower it so it's kind of quiet, sort of, kind of, it's amateurish, and all more often than not, it will be rejected, especially when the client didn't even ask for it in the first place.
Yeah.
And yes, you are trying to hide something. And look, music is not the only way folks try to hide a bad room or a bad noise floor or whatever. They use gates, and
Mm.
I hate gates so much. Um, they're often improperly configured because there's a lot of math involved: attack, release, threshold, hold.
Yeah.
And when you're
Super
beginning,
complicated.
yeah, they just get like they slap on a preset, it's like voiceover gate. And then it starts chopping off their consonants at the beginnings of their sentences and all that. And they submit that to the client, and the client's like, what the hell's going on?
Hmm.
Yeah, don't use a gate.
I'm nodding and agreeing because that was me. I did that too,
I did too.
and the big
Yeah.
oh, well, there you go. And please don't misconstrue what we're talking about today. We're not digging on anybody. We're sharing with you
Hmm.
um, where we come from and how we understand what you're probably thinking or trying, or and to dissuade you from doing all these shortcutty things that we did to hopefully save you
Yeah.
some time and some frustration. So what we wanted to impress upon everyone watching today is that the right way to do this is in the beginning, we way overthink it, way overdo it. And it's mainly because we just don't know what we need to know yet. So we're
Hmm.
trying to help you guys get further faster than we did. So,
Whatever mistakes you think you've done, we've done.
oh, yeah.
We may even have done worse.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, now what was the other question I wanted to ask you? The overthinking.
Yeah.
Touching on that, I think that is, and that again is fear. And then we'll talk about a couple more things. Then we'll get into some of the questions in the chat because we have an awful lot of comments.
Yeah.
But I wanted to talk about overthinking and the mindset that, and we kind of touched on it earlier. But for auditions, I think in addition to the overacting and the bad audio, we just don't because we are afraid of everything or we're over. I mean, I'm trying to think about how I wanted to ask the question. I guess, what do you see, Caesar, as I mean, because you've been on the other side as a casting director a few times yourself. Have you seen anything that, I guess, what is the thing that you see the most for brand new people, non-technically, performative wise, that is clear that they were completely overthinking it and
Okay, it's a couple of things actually, and I'll start by saying, do you remember when you hosted mock auditions
Yes.
in Platinum?
Yes.
And I submitted mine for it was like a YouTube thing, like how to do a YouTube voiceover. I think I submitted it like a week before, shall we say, a week before D-Day. And that entire week, I was imagining scenarios of how you would knock it down, reject it, call it was one of the worst things you'd ever had the displeasure of listening to. It was just cycling over and over in my head, and I lost appetite. Uh, I spent a lot of time staring at the ceiling, wondering whether I should pull that audition from the Google Drive or Dropbox. I think it was a Google Drive, and replace it with something new. But I kept resisting. But I kept wondering, oh my God, did I process it correctly? Is she going to hear my noise floor? I'm only halfway through with my booth acoustic treatment, and it ate me up. And well, I got first place during for that one, right? So usually, what I hear when it comes to people auditioning, and when one of the things I can tell that they're overthinking is one, they try to make it really loud, like
Mm,
they push it to like not minus three peaks, but like minus 0.1. They want
mm,
to try to sound as exciting as possible. And
yeah.
in the same vein, that excitement, they overact. All right. They put on their storyteller voice,
Yeah.
and they put in their hero protagonist voice. Uh, and also, remove all their breaths, like
Oh,
every
yeah.
single
That's a
breath
big
they
one.
take out.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a
Yep.
big one.
Yep.
Ah, God, what else? What's the other tell?
Or all of the pauses are perfectly spaced.
Yes,
I did that too. I did
yeah.
that too.
And the funny thing is, like when I get to talk to them face to face, and then they don't sound anything at all like what I had heard.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you actually sound human,
Mm-hmm.
but they're more performative in their submissions.
Or
Yeah.
the other way around in Launchpad when we do live reads, we'll have some actors like they'll be talking to us. Okay, this is the audition that I'm working on. I mean, they'll be completely conversational and real. And then when it's
Hmm.
time to do their read, they become somebody completely different. And
Exactly.
we're like, just tell me about what you did this morning. How did you make your coffee this morning? And then you go, okay, that's you. What you
Yeah.
just did is not you. Stop
It's
being this other thing. Just be you.
And they
Right.
leverage proximity to sound larger than life. I would almost always experience that they would lean in because it gives meat to their chestiness,
Yep.
or it makes them more, I don't know, not them. And I think really that's really the crux of it. They become someone else because they despise what they are, and they really shouldn't. So that's
Yeah.
that's the biggest
And
overthink.
and
Uh,
that's the thing, I think, is that mentioned that earlier, and I completely agree. And I don't know if, as well, maybe there's one. I think Eric Priestman's probably one who doesn't do this, but everybody else doesn't like the sound of their own voice.
no, they don't.
We all cringe. It's very cringy to hear your voice outside of your head
Yeah,
in like a spotlighted kind of a situation. And believe me, 8 years later, I still cringe every time I hear my
that's right.
voice. I don't want to hear it. I mean, I have to while I'm editing, but it's a different thing to see a finished product and go, "Oh, that's cool," but only watch a couple seconds because I can't stand to hear it. I don't think that ever goes away. Where are we
No.
at on time? Oh, that was the
Well, there you
last thing I
go.
wanted to ask you about.
Yeah.
In terms of preparation and how long an audition should be, how long does it take you to record, edit, submit a audiobook audition?
Uh, I would like to say about between half an hour to an hour because I have an effects rack, and but it could even be less than that. Really, we have to understand that when you are auditioning, uh, the author, the RH, only wants to know whether you can tell a story and whether your voice fits the character that's in their head. Okay.
Hmm.
So it's actually very easy for me to knock out 4 or 5 auditions in a day, and leave enough time for other stuff. Because when it comes to auditioning, you don't need to go in and do very what do you call it? Very manual edits. All right. You can use your FX racks or batch processors because you need to get as much auditions done um, in a day as you can, especially when you have to consider how often you book jobs in ACX, right? Versus how many rejections you get. You'll get more rejections than approvals.
Hang on, I just want to clarify one thing.
Yeah.
One audiobook audition takes you a half an hour to an hour each?
Uh, you know what? I'd say no, probably less than half an hour. Sorry, I was thinking because sometimes if I get really into an audition and the read is like 5 minutes to 15 minutes long, I try to do the whole thing just to give the author enough to listen to. But a lot of these auditions are like 2 minutes. If they are 2 minutes, then it'll probably take me like 15 minutes or less
Okay.
to process.
Because that's generally what we tell people in a VOJ, in a VO's Journey
Mhm.
Academy. It shouldn't take you more than 15 minutes to do an
Yeah.
audition. An audition, a typical audition, general rule of thumb should only be about 2 to 3 minutes long. There are, of course, going to be exceptions. For instance, if a
Hmm.
client has multiple characters and you're voicing all of them, then perhaps uh, the audition is going to be a little bit longer because then you have to, and they gave you specifically those characters that they wanted to hear you perform. So obviously the audition is going to be a little bit longer for all of that. Or if the client has given you a couple of different scenes that are
Hmm.
completely night and day different emotions, tension, whatever, and they wanted to
Yeah.
see how you handled the different tones and pacing, those would be the times where an audition might be a little bit longer. But generally speaking, they shouldn't be longer than, let's just say,
And
3 minutes
15.
max.
I just
So,
realized the reason why I answered your question that way is because mostly I audition for duets. They're just more
mm,
exciting, and so obviously that would
okay.
take more
Yeah.
more time to work on. But if it's a solo thing, or if it's like a nonfiction thing, or if it's just a solo narrator, yeah, absolutely 15 minutes.
But what should be done before you actually hit that record button in the first 5, 10 minutes, read that section that you have chosen to audition with out loud a couple times. Make sure
Hmm.
that you understand where the punctuation in the spoken word is going to be, where you perhaps can pause and take a breath. Because as we always say, punctuation is more of a guide and a suggestion,
That's true.
because the spoken word and the written word are obviously two different things. So a comma in the written word might not exactly fit when you're speaking out loud. So read it out loud a couple of times, get a good feel for the flow, make sure that
Hmm.
you have a firm understanding of what is happening in this scene as much as you can with the context you were given, because sometimes we don't get the whole entire manuscript, sometimes we just get a piece of it.
Like a piece, yeah, exactly. Most of the
So
time.
so just do your best with what you're given, take your best shot at it, trust your gut in terms of what does this feel like to me, and record it. If there's any
Yeah.
words, if it's a technical thing, if it's like if it's a regional thing, um, um, like you are, like the characters from a specific region where maybe places are pronounced a specific way, you might want to take some time to look up pronunciations and things like that, definitions if you don't recognize a word. And that's it. I mean, all of that should take you 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, if you're giving it 100% of your focus, It shouldn't take that long. So someone should be able to crank out 3, 4 of these in an hour,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Getting adjusted. All right. Well, we got like 20 minutes left.
I'll get to the questions.
We have a
Sure.
lot of comments. So, and I think we saw we have a new donut. Where did that
Oh,
go?
nice.
Ken joined the voiceover
Very
Angela
nice.
channel. Thank you for becoming a donut. I appreciate you. Caesar's a donut too, by the way. Thank you, Caesar. I appreciate you. All right, let's see if we can get some questions in here. Do you see questions that, because you can select questions too that you want to answer if you see any.
No, I didn't realize you can scroll all the way back to the top.
Let's see. Let's see. Homebound Audio says, I'm still overthinking pretty much everything. I think I've got something set, then learn something new, and feels like I have to redo all my samples and auditions. You know,
Oh,
I, that's actually a good thing that you brought that up, because there have been times in my beginnings where I was mid-book when I discovered something life-changing in terms of effects processing or something of the like. I moved my mic, got a new
mhm.
mic, whatever it is. You'll be tempted to use your new knowledge halfway through the book. So effectively, the first half of the audiobook sounds one way,
Yeah.
and the next half of the audiobook sounds another way. Please don't do that. If you find something new, save it, a new mic, a new position, whatever it is. Save it for the next book. Keep that first book sounding consistent all the way through. My stomach's growling. I
Mhm.
hope you can't hear it. And then use your newfound knowledge for the next one.
Yeah. I always think about things moving forward, and don't commit genocide just because you learned something and then you realize that, oh my God, I was too SE before. I now know how to DS properly,
Yeah.
or, I was too nasal. I have my mic technique, whatever. And a
Just
lot of times it's not as bad as you think. You listen to your old samples and you go, it's okay.
just don't
Yeah,
commit genocide. Period.
exactly. Yes.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
words of wisdom right there.
don't nuke your samples. Oh my God, I've been tempted to do that before so many times.
But also still searching for what will actually work to get me booked. It isn't a magic thing. And I'm not trying to sound dismissive or anything, because I'm exactly where you were. It's not something specific that you're probably missing or that you're probably doing. It's not usually something that has to do with you. It's more or less that you're not. Stop it, Donnie. I see that. It's just you're not auditioning enough. And
Yeah.
keep in mind that for every author who is not looking for your voice, there are 50 to 100 or more that are. And you just have to find them. You guys have to cross paths, right?
Yes.
So in
I was
order to
actually going to say,
do that, you have to audition more.
yeah,
So make
put
sure that you
yourself
guys
out
get that.
there.
Yeah.
Increase your online presence. Join TikToks where authors hold live audition reads. It's less like what Angela says. It may be less to do with yourself and more just people need to realize you exist. Then
Mm-hmm.
you will get work. Because
Exactly.
you might join a TikTok and you can just say hello, just simply hello, and an artist is going to go, oh my God, you sound exactly like Drax. He's the main character. He's the MMC in my book. I want you in. It's just that simple.
Mm-hmm. They have to know you exist, which is why we also say audition and market. Get on social media, create a presence. If you don't have a presence, you don't exist. I was also under the impression, and a lot of other people do, that as soon as you create a website, that automatically the entire world can see it and they're going to come knocking on your door. They don't know it's there. You
Yeah.
have to market. Every business does. We all know that. Same goes for us as voice actors. If they know you exist, they can hear you, they can see you, they know you're a real person, your voice fits, boom, jobs.
Yeah.
But if you're hiding in your studio going, oh, I don't have this, I don't, I need this, or I'm whatever, they're never going to see you. They're
Yep.
never going to know you exist.
Yep. Yep.
Lex B says, Happy Tuesday! I'm honestly just holding myself back from auditioning because of fear. I'm worried I won't get a job, and then I'm also scared of actually getting a job.
Mhm.
Relatable. I don't know a single person who hasn't felt that way. But I'll I want you, Lexby, I'm challenging you. Go audition today and then come back on Tuesday next week and tell me that you auditioned. And there'll be a standing ovation for you from everybody watching. But I'm challenging you. Do just one, and see how it feels.
I would give that standing ovation too.
Rebecca says, Good afternoon, everyone. Several audiobooks done, more auditions than I'd like to count, and I still overthink everything. Same, same, same.
Same.
Oh, here's a question. Professor Tracy says, How important is it to have certain cables hooked up into your setup?
Well, without them, they won't work.
Well, I mean, okay, let's reframe the question, Caesar. So if let's just say every microphone comes with an XLR cable. Let's just
Yeah,
start there.
like the NT1 signature. Yeah.
And those are
Okay.
decent, I would say, but
Yeah,
upgrading them is probably going to be in your best interest, just like anything else. Just
absolutely.
like upgrading anything on your car, it's going to be better than OE, you know?
Because, like in a home studio, you'll have power bricks, you will have lights, you will have anything that may transmit some kind of interference into your cable. To keep costs down, the NT1 Signature Series, for example, comes with a very stock, very bog standard cable that has minimal shielding. So yeah, you might hear stuff going in. I've actually had clients say that their noise floor has improved or had improved after swapping out with something like a Mogami Gold, for example. You don't have to go all the way to Mogami Gold if budget is a concern. You can go with silver. That's fine. Gold is the studio standard because a lot of people are switching out mics or plugging or patching into analog equipment, and they need like the maximum amount of sturdiness. So, but for peace of mind, maybe just go gold and forget about it.
Go gold.
Yeah.
Lisa says, I binge watched your channel for about a month, learning, getting the equipment I could afford, setting up my space, and ended up with my first book after 10 auditions.
Nice. That's how it works.
Proud of you, Lisa.
That's how it works.
Caesar, you are so relatable.
Thank you. I'm human too.
Yes. I mean, we, did Caesar just say he learned to, I know. Christian says, should we get a dehumidifier if we are in a humid environment?
Well, yes. Because something a lot of people don't realize is that the capsule in these microphones are like sponges. They're made of an absorbent material called mylar, and they will absolutely wick away the moisture from your space and die. Oh, shoot, I forgot to mention something. Ah, yes. Dehumidifier, definitely dry box for storage. If you have more than one mic, keep it in there, tuck it away overnight. There you go.
Donnie says, what if we don't know what is holding us back and I'm in a slump, but I can't figure out what I need to take the next step? I think we need to figure out what is holding you back. I think that's something you probably need to talk with someone about, Donnie, and to help you figure out what that thing is and how you could take that next step.
I think this
Because,
is a great place to mention Launchpad. Always
yep.
being part of a community is very important for voice actors. You will always be able to find somebody you can talk to about anything, performative issues, technical issues, or even just having a friend. And that's really vital.
A friend who understands where you're at and perhaps has been there.
Yeah.
Community is everything for
Mhm.
I think for every business owner. You got to have somebody that understands who to talk to about
Yeah.
your challenges, your wins, your You know, when you need someone to kick you between the pockets, as Donnie
Mhm.
needs. You know.
Accountability, absolutely.
Yeah.
Somebody to check in on you and say, "Hey, have you auditioned today?" You know, and
Mm-hmm.
then push you. He's like, "Come on, you gotta do it."
Kristen says, "Thank you guys for your stories. Inspiration to keep us from tossing in the towel." Good. I'm
Mm,
glad we could
mhm,
help. Oh,
yeah,
yep. Good point, Tiger Lily. It's also fun to add to the end of to your sentence if you don't have this thing yet, just as
just
the
as
prophecy foretold.
mhm.
I love it. See, look at Rebecca's here for you, Donnie. Obi-Wan says, "Tell Caesar I'm wearing my aluminum foil hat."
Very good, very good. He'll filter out
The
the
noise
lumps.
from your head.
Yeah.
Venus says, "I started my journey in early April. Wow. Just
Mm,
this past month, April, did 35 auditions in 3 weeks, received 2 offers and one at 1 month. Wow.
mm,
I'm still
come on.
stunned that I took that leap so soon. I'm now 11 chapters through it. Look, see? And hold it. And the second book is in the wings. Good for you. I absolutely love that. Let's see. Christian says, "Yeah, with live monitoring, it's crazy how much stuff makes noise and we don't realize it." Oh, that is just another
Mhm.
point. When I do anything voiceover related, audiobooks, voiceover, when I'm podcast hosting, 'cause I also edit and host podcasts as well. I do it with my camera off and this light off, this ring light off. Everything is off because everything transmits some kind of noise, right? So
Yeah,
my room is not this bright. I have a singular bulb overhead that I can change to any color I want to, and I go for like a blue. So really the only light in the studio is coming from my monitor. So
mm,
that is something else to consider. If you have a bunch of all these lights behind me are not on. None of the stuff is on. It's a
when you're
dark
doing
room.
podcast.
So
Yeah.
something else to keep in mind when you're recording that light.
Mm,
If you have a bunch of lights on in your room, you might want to turn those off too.
yeah. Um, a lot of folks don't realize how sensitive these things are. And an AC may be kind of quiet enough for us, but it'll amplify
Yeah.
the microphone. It'll pick up everything.
And Rebecca brings up a good point. When you're working in the heat, keep an ice pack on your lower back. Yes, I have several that kind of sit on your shoulders. That
Oh, so
like,
that's where they go.
yeah, you can put them on your shoulder. Like there's long ones on Amazon that are meant to like wrap around a muscle or something.
Mm.
But I use them to drape over my shoulders to help keep cool in the summer. I know a lot of voice actors that in the summertime they go into their booths and swimsuits
Yeah.
and just do it. Just get it done, you
Mm.
know?
I've been putting them in the wrong place. So
Oh,
lower
here's
weight.
it. What? Okay, Caesar. All right.
What's a gate?
Uh-huh. What's a gate?
Okay.
What's a
A
gate?
gate is something that silences your room tone when you're not speaking and opens when you start speaking. It's meant to reduce the noise that lives between pauses when you perform. And when they're too aggressive,
No, Caesar. See, you're even getting it on YouTube.
apparently.
No, Caesar. There are a lot of hardware choices that even and software choices where you can integrate a noise gate, but it basically it just cuts a certain like you tell it to cut a certain or to not permit it closes when you reach a certain frequency, which like Caesar said before, there's a lot of math involved. There's a lot of
So,
intricacies involved
yes.
to get it perfectly. So just don't use a gate, in my
Mhm.
opinion. Because
Especially a hardware gate. Do not use
yes.
a hardware gate. If you recorded 10 hours of stuff with a hardware gate and you realize it was set wrong, you have to re-record those 10 hours all over again.
Yeah.
No.
David had a question, and I see this a couple times. What's your website? So Caesar, I don't think
You
we mentioned
can
it.
go to voiceofcaesar.com and there is a contact form at the bottom. You can reach out to me there and I'll be happy to help you out.
Hi, Space Angel. Sorry.
You got a Space Angel too?
You don't get a Space Angel. That's only my Space Angel.
Oh,
I don't
but I've
share
been good
Space
this
Angel.
year. Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. Let's see. Donnie says, I am over 2 years on and I still overthink all the time. We never stop, Donnie. I mean, it's just a
Mhm,
matter of recognizing when you are and telling yourself, stop it.
mhm.
Everything's cool. Don't make it more difficult than it needs to be.
Most importantly, recognize your strengths and celebrate them. You joined Rebecca's duet class last week and you nailed it. And everybody told you that you nailed it. Accept it and integrate that into your list of abilities and things you can do and things you don't have to worry about.
Kat says, audition, submit it, and forget it.
Yeah.
Basically, you can't wait for a reply from an author. You
Mhm.
can't
That's
wait for feedback from an author because you
no.
probably won't get it. Just audition, audition, audition.
Yeah.
And if they come back to you, I mean, you will be notified usually either way. So just keep auditioning. And if you're worried about having too much work at one time, that's a good problem to have. And you can
Yep.
schedule them back to back to back. You don't, it's not like if you win 3 jobs that you have to accept them to be done all at the same time.
Yeah.
You'll just burn yourself out. So whichever one comes first, start that one. And then once the next one comes, schedule it behind the first one if the first author has the time to wait. If they don't, then maybe that was a sign that it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
But
Move on from there.
yeah, just keep auditioning. Audition,
Uh,
audition, audition.
And don't send a sniveling little follow-up message. It's not going to
Yes,
get you
don't
anywhere.
don't do that.
Did you listen to my thing? No.
John, I don't want you to overthink it. Don't have a running checklist. Don't even worry about the checklist. Just throw everything out the door. I think that is where we get the overwhelm because we're trying to remember everything we shouldn't do. Just
Mhm.
just be you. Just be you and make sure that you have the understanding of where your like your recording levels need to be, have an understanding of what ACX standards are, have somebody in your pocket for questions, like if you're in Launchpad, just ask a question, but don't allow yourself to get like into that what's that saying? The overwhelm information overload or no, it's
Information
something.
over.
It was something more elegant than that,
Mm,
but if you do that, you might allow yourself to overwhelm yourself, basically. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read and talk at the same time.
that's cool.
Um, McDavie says that's the hardest part to me, sounding conversational. I guess it takes experience to know what good is. Again, don't
Yeah.
overthink it. Conversational is what we're doing here. Is this imagine that you're just talking to a friend, you're talking to a neighbor. If it helps, and it usually does, start with a lead in. Like you have your script and you're needing to be conversational. So instead of saying, "Hey, check out this product," or "Hey, check out this product," insert your neighbor's name in or your wife or your husband or your best friend's name. Hey, Caesar, check out this product, right? If you start with a lead in, that'll help your brain to kind of get on the level that you're trying to get on. And that works for a lot of different emotions too. Like if you're supposed to sound upset in the read, you could start with, dang it, then go into your read, right?
Yep.
But just be sure to cut the lead in off when you're editing. Don't submit that part.
I'd like to share a quick story, actually.
Go for
I
it.
had a client who came to me for an effects rack. And when I listened to her sample and we went over it, I noticed that she was incredibly sibilant. Uh, and it's because she was enunciating
Mm,
practically every syllable. But when we actually had her one-on-one and I said, "Hey, how you doing?" And then you said, "Great, fine. It was a lovely day today. I took my kid for it took my kids out for a walk in the park and all that." She wasn't sibilant. But
mm-hmm.
when I got her to read, I want to do me a favor, read for me. And then she went back to that over enunciating every syllable. And I'm like, you don't read like you talk. So when it's just us, we're talking about stuff casually. You sound fine. You sound great, and you're
Mm-hmm.
not. You don't have that drill spike going into my ear, and that's because I don't know. She reverts into some kind of narration default when she's in front of a microphone. So I told her to listen to herself when she speaks to other people and when she speaks to me, and try to apply that same cadence and everything to when she's in front of a microphone. There you go.
If you've been here for a year, it's about time you brought some donuts. Jeez,
Absolutely.
you're way overdue. TMP voice says, "Oh my God, I so needed to hear this. As a newbie, I am taking long re-recording due to overthinking how I sound. Then
Mm.
don't allow yourself to do that. Oh my gosh, because you will allow yourself to re-record multiple sections of multiple chapters, and then what you have at the end is an audiobook that sounds like a quilt. If that makes
Yeah.
any sense.
No,
Like it sounds like there's different
okay,
volumes, there's
patchwork.
different
Yeah.
yeah, it's like all patched in, and you could hear the difference. You can
Yes.
hear the difference. So don't allow yourself to do that either. No, Donnie. Is it Ariana? I think it's Ariana. I was just
Ariana.
wondering about this. I learned a new technique and I have 2 chapters left to do. Finish them the way that you did the rest of it. Yeah,
No matter how
just
difficult, yes. Finish it the way you save it for next. Oh,
A VO's
we have.
Journey says, "I am new to audiobooks. How do I get started?"
Well, what can
Well,
we
then,
do?
A VO's Journey. Well, you can come to A VO's Journey
The journey.
Academy. Yes, we have a few different membership tiers. We have Launchpad is the base tier, which you get to come and hang out with me and Caesar and about, well, what were we at the other night? Like 45,
45
46
or
people in
46.
attendance.
Yeah.
We have over 200 and something members in Launchpad alone, and a good
Mhm.
chunk of them come to our Thursday night sessions for Launchpad, which is where we get together for a couple hours every Thursday night and talk about all kinds of different aspects of voiceover and audiobook narration. We do live reads for each other. We do all kinds of things, and we gamify it. We have fun. Adult beverages are, everybody has an adult beverage. So it's a lot of fun. And then the next tier up is Core. So in addition to Launchpad, you get, and speaking of Core, if you hit the QR code up in the corner of this video, that will take you directly to join a VO's Journey Academy, Core. And Core is Launchpad, plus you get another 8 to 10, I believe, classes with 5 other coaches, 4 other, apart from myself because I'm a coach, every month. So, I mean, and then I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm super excited. And then the top tier is everything I just mentioned, plus you get some other benefits like a 1-hour session with the coach of your choice every month. So come and join us at a VO's Journey Academy. In addition to a VO's Journey Academy membership, with it, you also get membership to Academy Voices, which is our audiobook production company. And we just hit, I don't know if you saw it, Caesar, but we just hit 600 audiobooks
Oh, yeah.
published.
I did see that.
Yeah.
That's very
Yeah.
exciting.
600. And Anthony has tasked us with hitting 1,000 this year.
Ooh,
So we got our work
this
cut out
year.
for us. This
Okay,
year.
wow.
Yes, we got 400 more to do. So you're going to
Nice.
be busy, Caesar. You're going to be busy with them duets, them spicy books.
Spicy books.
So to answer a VO's Journey question, come and join us at a VO's Journey. Just hit the QR code or hit the link in the description. I'm pointing in the wrong direction. I have no idea where I'm going.
There's a guy named Anthony Pica that I think
Yeah.
you'd like to meet.
Yep, Anthony Pica. That's the guy.
Yeah.
And John concurs. It's the best around, and it is. And to be completely honest, and I'm not a salesperson by any chance or any you know what I'm saying. I'm getting ahead of myself again. You can't beat the price point for our academy. You just can't. I mean, if you go find a coach, I mean, you can't beat for what we offer. You can't beat the price point, right? A VO's Journey.
Yay.
Let's see. Oh, Lisa says, best thing I did was ditch my laptop because the fan kept kicking in while I was recording. Yeah, same thing
Mhm.
happened to me. That's how I learned to move it away because it's going to do what it's going to do. And you don't want to cover it. You don't want to block your fans and overheat your computer, right? You don't want to do any of that. So
I've
your
done
next
that.
best option. Have you really?
Yeah, I tossed a quilt over it, and
Oh,
I was silly and desperate.
yeah, I could see that being done out of desperation, but don't kill
Don't.
your laptop in the process. Just move it away. Oh my God. Yes, I'm gonna kick you between the pockets again, Donnie. Again. I'll do it. You know I will. That's right. No, Caesar. Uh, chat went downhill fast. Christian wants to know, how do I dry out the microphone? I'm thinking one of those plastic ammo boxes and some desiccant.
That will work in a pinch. I would still recommend a dry box. A dry box is basically like a fridge but dehumidifying, and you plug it in. It's electronic. It has a little LED that tells you what the relative humidity is inside the box. That's great for like mic rescue or
Mm.
life support, intensive care, whatever.
You probably shouldn't put your microphones in rice.
No, no, no.
I'm sorry, Joy, I skipped yours. When is it too late to submit an audition? I would say if you really want it, audition for it regardless. If you have the time and you really want it, just audition for it. I mean, obviously the chances if it's been open for like a week and there if you can see how many auditions are already submitted, which in a lot of places you can't, but if you can, I would say just audition for it because as Gabby mentioned last week in last week's Academy Voices Live, she listens through every single one. So
Hmm.
every casting director or client, rights holder, whomever might be a little bit different in that respect. They might find who they're looking for in the first 5 submissions, 10 submissions, and then they stop. But as Gabby proved, a lot of casting directors will listen through every single one. So submit it anyway. I would say if it's open and you really want it, submit the audition.
Yeah, shoot your shot. Doesn't matter
Mm-hmm.
whether it's like whether it's been open for a week or 2 weeks or 3 days. Just shoot your shot.
Exactly. Let's see if I can find another question. Do you see a question? Christian says, my goal is to read 10% of the 1,000 audiobooks on Academy Voices. That's a great goal.
Good luck.
That's a
You'll get
great goal.
to around 600, 700. You know.
And don't put your mics in the tub either. Yeah, don't. I
Mm,
mean,
so
I would think that would be common sense, but no. Donnie felt it worth
doesn't
mentioning,
need
I
to say no.
suppose.
Someone's probably done it anyway. So
All right, I know it's like 1 o'clock in the morning for you, Caesar, and I don't want to keep you too long. But is there anything based on the chat or anything that we talked about today? Is there any kind of anything else that you wanted to add that you think would be important for people just starting out to know?
I think really the biggest problem when it comes to auditioning is that folks try to be someone else that they're not. They have some kind of a repulsion towards who they are, how they sound like, that they try to put on a costume, the narrator costume, before they do audition.
Yeah.
And usually it's to their detriment because uh, authors want people who tell stories, people who can sound natural. They don't. They're not out there looking for somebody who's like over the top voice of God, big and meaty, and that's something. One of these days, try to look at yourself in the mirror and try to appreciate who you are, what you sound like, and when you internalize that thinking, come back to the studio, come back to the microphone, and try again.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yep.
it.
So when you're thinking about throwing in the towel, take a break
Hmm.
and come back to it later.
Yeah.
There was something else that I was going to ask and say, but it ran away. That happens with age. But I think
Sad.
we pretty much covered everything that I wanted to talk about, I think.
I think so too.
Well, for those of you in Launchpad, I will see you guys on Thursday. We're going to be talking about ACX formatting standards because, as you know, I am publishing for Academy Voices, and what I'm seeing is some things that we're going to go over. I think we need a refresher on what ACX standards are. So I'll be
Oh,
going through that. And for those of you that are brand new to audiobooks, this will be great information on what the standards are and how to achieve them. So this will be a great launch pad for you to attend. If you're not part of Launchpad yet, there's a link in the description if you're watching on YouTube, or hit the little QR code up in the corner and come and join us. We'd love to have you. The more the merrier. And I think that's it. Otherwise, I'll be back next week on YouTube. Same bat time, same bat channel. So, oh, actually, you know what? Can we take this last question because we touched
yes,
on
I
this
saw that.
earlier? What are your thoughts on like voice boxes and sound suppression things like that? We kind
Uh,
of touched on that earlier with the shields.
yeah, and I remember recommending an ISO before, but here's the thing: if you don't know how to process the low end, chances are, if you take the raw recording out of a Vox box or a sound suppression device, it's going to sound really awful. As a matter of fact, it might actually do more harm than good to your voice because it's just it's going to sound like you're going to sound like you're in a box. That's it. So the most cost effective way to get into voiceover, in lieu of sticking your microphone into one of those things, is really just buy a bunch of moving blankets and find a way to encircle yourself in them, and that's going to, yeah, just it's going to do the job. It really will, and you'll sound a lot more natural, which
Mm-hmm.
is how you want it, how you want yourself to sound like.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Caesar's got a very attractive studio behind him, and mine looks just like a teenage bedroom. It doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to sound good. I mean, most cases, no one's going to see you. You're going to be talking to yourself in a padded room.
Mhm.
So doesn't matter what it looks like. Just, you know, but those boxes, I don't, because I think the main thing that we don't think about when we're looking at to buy those things is that our
Mhm.
voice is a vibration.
That's
So
right.
when you're speaking, it's going to be bouncing off of anything that's bounce offable,
Mhm.
basically. So if you have a Vox box and the vibration goes this way, and because you're
Yeah.
not, you don't have your head completely engulfed in it. If you're
Mhm.
speaking toward it, your voice is still going to be, you know what I mean, bouncing around the room. So you're better off just treating the room around you. And again, this is from
Precisely.
trial and error. So, yeah, padded rooms, that's the way to go.
Mhm. Yep, yep.
Yeah, makes more sense to spend your money that way. All right. With that, we're going to go. Caesar, you go to bed or do whatever you're going to do for the rest of your early morning. And I will see the rest of you on Thursday in Launchpad, or I will see you next week in our live chat on YouTube. Thank you so
Awesome.
much, Caesar, for coming in today and sharing with us and all that fun stuff.
It was always a pleasure.
All right.
I'll answer one last question. Christian Carlson voiceover says, "I wonder if a dry box would be useful for 3D printer filament." Yes. In fact, they
Hmm.
make dry boxes specific to 3D printer filament. So there you go. Off topic there, but I just had to answer that.
Good point, because we have 3D printer filament here too as well. So that was a great one
Okay.
for me too. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
All right.
Alrighty.
Bye, guys. Thanks, Caesar.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.